Welcome to a new SiteGround video. My name is Cal Evans, and today we're going to learn about static caching. We'll talk about what it is and how you can easily implement it to speed up your website. Over the years, we've talked about a lot of different techniques to speed up your website. Now, one of the reoccurring themes is caching. There are many different strategies for caching content, but one of the easiest is caching static content. Static content is any content that does not require modification before displaying it to the user. For instance, the version of your homepage that you show to non-logged in users is probably pretty static. You show the same thing to every non-logged in user. But because it isn't dynamically generated, it's the same thing for every user. Most web pages require some code to run, even if it's just to assemble the parts. If the parts don't change, why not save a copy of the assembled page and just serve that copy? Because now that's static content. Let's look at an example of why caching static content is so important for your website speed. If you launch a new marketing campaign for your online store and it's successful beyond your wildest dreams, then your server will bear the brunt of generating the same exact page for thousands of new visitors. This could negatively affect the experience of those who have decided to purchase. That's why static caching is important. It saves your server for the really important tasks. Now, while the idea behind static caching isn't difficult to understand, the implementation can be a bit daunting for non-technical people. In simple terms, sites that implement static caching actually have two web servers. The main one is capable of running PHP scripts to generate dynamic pages. The second web server does not have PHP and it can only serve cached content. That second web server can't execute any code. It can only serve standard HTML, CSS, JavaScript, images, etc. The things that do not require processing. While this does limit its usefulness, it does make it a lot faster. So, after the main web server generates a piece of static content like your homepage for non-logged in users, it saves it where the second web server can get to it. When a user visits your website, it is actually the second web server that it's talking to. That server serves everything it can, and for the things it can't serve, it passes the request on to the first web server. All of these moving parts work together to make your site faster. There are, however, ways to make it even faster. SiteGround takes the concept of static content caching to the next level with its Nginx Direct Delivery. Now, Nginx is the brand name of web server number 2. With Nginx Direct Delivery, not only is the static content from web server 1 delivered to your user, but it also picks out all of the static content like CSS and JavaScript and images and videos, and it serves them. This process delivers 3 important benefits. First, it improves the browser-based caching. Second, it provides an easier and more efficient usage of a content delivery network. And finally, it frees up RAM that can be used for dynamic content caching without compromising on static content load speed. If you want to dig a bit deeper, I've linked to a blog post in the description of this video. Check that out. Now, in order to implement Nginx Direct Delivery at SiteGround, you don't need to do anything. From the moment you start hosting your site with them, your website enjoys the benefit of Nginx Direct Delivery. You can check and manage its activation by logging into your SiteGround hosting account. Next, pick the domain which you want to check for Nginx Direct Delivery. And in the site tools for that domain, select Speed from the left-hand menu. Then, from the menu that just appeared, select Caching. The first option on the screen is Nginx Direct Delivery. You will see it's enabled by default, and I recommend you leave it turned on so that you enjoy the benefits. If you want to turn it off, you can click the slider on the right to deactivate it, and you can re-enable it at any time the same way. A pop-up will notify you that you were successful in both cases. Caching is an essential tactic for speeding up your website. As we've discussed before, speed is king, because visitors who have to wait too long to see your site just move on to the next website. Of all the caching techniques available to website owners who host with SiteGround, Nginx Direct Delivery of static content is one of the easiest to implement. You don't have to do anything. It's just activated for you automatically. Don't forget that before you flip that switch, test your website speed. Once you know how fast your site is currently running, then you can make a change to your caching. Any change. Then run the speed test again. I tested Nginx Direct Delivery with one of my websites just recently. First, I turned Nginx Direct Delivery off, and then I waited about 5 minutes to let all the cache clear before I took a speed measurement. Then I turned Nginx Direct Delivery back on. Again, I waited about 5 minutes so that the site could warm up the cache and become stable again. Then I measured it again. Nginx Direct Delivery cut 0.3 of a second off the page load. In this case, the site was already loading fast because I had already used the SiteGround Optimizer plugin to optimize it. Nginx Direct Delivery, however, improved the overall site by 20%. That's not a bad return on investment for a 10-second click of a button. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you implemented static caching on your site? Did it speed things up? Leave us a comment below so that we can learn from each other. Hey, I want to thank you for joining us today as we learned. I hope you found it both educational and interesting. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you click the subscribe button on the screen to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon so that YouTube will notify you every time we release a new video. Finally, follow us on social media to stay updated about all the news, trending content, and resources for successful website management that we share. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.